Alright, this is Hawkman again, and I could, in theory, do a full Let's Play of this, but that would take quite a while. So I'm just going to do like the Cliff Notes version of the mission, because it's a little long, or can be anyways, put it that way. So, the start of the mission, you are contacted by Franklin Drake, who tells you that they have a problem that needs to be resolved. I made this before they introduced Daniels as someone that we actually see in Stowe, so it's not something that I necessarily would have done this way again if I was to redo it at this point in time. However, Franklin Drake also is one of the people in Star Trek Online who does time travel stuff. Anyways, so we have a rogue Klingon who went into the past trying to change history for, well, his sub-faction of the Klingon Empire's benefit. Obviously not the benefit of everyone, let's put it that way. Anyways, so you go to Gateway, and beam down to do stuff. Basic goal you have on the Gateway map is actually not entirely obvious at first. You actually have three things you do here. 1, shoot all of the Klingons. 2, find the anti-chronoton grenade item that you need in order to destroy the temporal shield device. That is something you would have ended up doing in part 2 if I'd actually finished that. Well, also, yeah, shoot the Klingons, grab the device, and then talk to the gateway thing. I am also, one of Drake's assistants is here. Whatever. Go ahead. How did that take so long? Whatever. One thing that is somewhat bothersome is that when they updated the main gateway map in the game, the version that we have in the Foundry did not get updated. So while the main gateway map has like this expansive, sprawling city that, it's like covers a ridiculous amount of area, this one doesn't. I suppose in theory I could like place like a few hundred sets of these like stone columns and pillars, but well, that's not what we actually have here. People wonder why the thing was said to be bugged horribly. Yeah, if it wasn't bugged horribly, it wouldn't do this. Anyway, so the premise here is that you're, well, here to shoot the Klingons, more or less. It's not like it's not a particularly This is taking so long. Weird. I don't remember it taking so long in the past. Oh, right. Anyway, so this is the gateway ground. The idea here is that the Klingons shouldn't be here, so you're just like straight kicking them out. I ended up putting this sort of thing in this mission a lot, where, like, hey, there's a small army of Klingons, make them go away. Good idea, bad idea. Well, it was there. Seriously. Anyways, so you shoot your way to the time portal. One of the interesting things about this is that, possibly for copyright reasons, they actually went and removed the portal itself from the map, or something like that. I don't know. Don't understand it personally, but whatever. Let me talk to this guy who tells you about why he's here and what you need to do. Now, yeah, I thought this was amusing because I decided I wanted to do like a temporal loop sort of aspect to the mission, so that you're not actually in temporal loop version number 1. You're actually in temporal loop version number 2. And temporal loop version number 1 was like the stupid, boring one that was basically mission setup and prep. So you get the results of temporal loop version number 1, and you get to write that. Use them in version number 2. Alright, the next map is the Romulan colony map. Now for this one I actually did use several slightly different maps that are like either woodland areas or marshy areas, and a little bit of a trick to making them feel more like the same planet region is to look at the plants that are on one of them and then just like manually add them to the other ones. So like for this one, you see all of these things here, which are, a lot of them are those like floating mushroom sort of plants. Whereas like this like, you know, like gas-filled fungus or something that floats in midair. Now, see, like that. But this also has a very large number of like regular trees, though. Actually, I think I added the floating mushrooms. I think the floating mushrooms are what I added to this map. And these things. Yeah. I never actually tinkered with the idea of adding dialogue specific to how you go about this one. This is one of my earlier ones, and I hadn't like figured out the whole like, hey, optional objectives. But you know. Is this my loot from the previous level? If that is weird. Huh. Never seen that happen before. Then again, I usually vacuum up everything methodically. Anyways, though, if you don't shoot the Romulan guards and you come here, it really doesn't matter. It's actually a rather simple thing. Drop a foundation block, drop some pre-made Romulan buildings so that they're sitting directly on top of the foundation block. Maybe throw in a few other things to make it look a little bit more like a city. Shlamo. I even came up with an excuse for why there's so few people standing around. Now this was before we could like do like custom proper Romulans. So I ended up taking like Vulcans and putting them in things that look kind of sort of like Romulan civilians. Then there's this guy who's actually a stock NPC. Now, I wrote this under the assumption that he recognizes... Well, okay. The bad guys are Klingons, and since you're playing this as either a Starfleet officer or a member of the Romulan Republic, he recognizes that, okay, you're someone who is not one of the people who's giving me a bad day. See, the idea with this colony is that it's, you know, someplace that in this point in time is a small colony and not a highly developed one, which is why it was chosen, is because the fact that it's somewhere where at the time that he's attacking it is small and isolated, and someplace that he can relatively easily conquer and take over for himself. Yeah, this map is mostly just about like setting up the stage for what you're going to do in the past. And we'll get back to that in a minute.